Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode of Tell Tehani. On today's episode, we have Pravin Jayasundere, who is a law student, photographer, amongst many other things, and here to tell us a bit about himself. Hi Pravin.
Hi Tehani.
So, would you like to start off by telling us a bit about yourself?
Sure. I think a good place to start would be that so when I was in school, I was like, typical student, like good student, like I did the clubs, did my studies and all that, and everything was like really nicely structured. Like if you looked at my life, it was like, oh, he's a good guy. He's like, he does his stuff right. Like that. And then like when it finished and like I got into the world, because like my parents are very like critical almost, and they said, oh, you don't know anything, you're going to learn stuff like when you go into the world. And I was like, okay, shape. And then it actually was true. Like there was so much to like learn once I left that whole bubble of school. And one thing I faced was like I was really trying to make my adult life look as good as my like school life looked. Like I was trying to like get my work experience, get into a good college and all of that. And then at one point when COVID happened, and it gave me a lot of time to think, because I was like bored, we weren't doing anything. It gave me a lot of time to think, and I thought like I can pretty much predict my future like for the next 5 to 10 years, because it's so well structured. And
you didn't like that?
No, I didn't like that at all, because that's so boring, right? There's no challenge. Like it's challenging in itself, but the whole to have it planned out, I don't know. I always thought that was a good thing to be structured and planned out, but it got boring to a point. So I think how I managed to kind of not be bored with my life was to start this whole photography thing. Because so my father's a very tech savvy person, and whenever like he teaches me something, I'm always listening, and I wanted to like teach him about something, because he is not very good with photography and cameras and all that. So I took like 3 months. I was like, okay, I'm going to like study, I'm going to like get my experience done, I'm going to go and teach him. Okay, like 3 months into like learning everything, I went, Tati, I have like this thing I want to show you. He's like, what? I was like, it's about camera. He's like, I'm not very interested. I forgot to tell him. But then after that, I like slowly told him all that. And so yeah, this whole like photography business kind of thing that I've started was a sort of form of escapism, but it was an escapism.
Would you say it all started because of COVID, or would you have not gotten into it if we didn't have that time to self-reflect?
Yeah, I definitely would not have got into it, because COVID just gave me a few more, because it cut down on like transportation time. Like it's a bad thing at that point that I couldn't see my friends, but I had so much free time because I wasn't meeting my friends. And that gave me time to think and do something with it.
So tell us a bit about your photography and what you like capturing and
So I mainly do like product and food photography. So why I started my photography was my friend Vinura. He's like a really good friend of mine, one of my best friends, and he got this gig in 2018 or something, where this sushi place hired him, and he basically got to shoot the menu. He didn't get paid much, but it was like a week of shooting sushi. And so they had to make the whole menu, but it wasn't for the customers, it was for the shoot. So he basically got like free sushi for like an entire week, and to the point that he got tired of sushi. And I heard that story and I was like, man, I want that. So that gave me a lot of inspiration to get into food. And then food was around the house when COVID was happening, because I couldn't like go places and take wildlife pictures or anything. So the food part really spoke to me, and then I got to meet business owners, and I got to meet other photographers, and I got to go into like the kitchens of restaurants and businesses that make food. And that was really interesting, because I like food a lot.
So tell us about your most memorable shoot.
My most memorable shoot? Ooh. It would probably be either my first one or so my first one was with the company Bata Boutique. So that was like the first like proper like professional shoot I did, and I was so nervous. Now for about 20 pictures I take maybe 3 hours. I took like 7 hours I think to take like 10. So I was really nervous, and I really wanted to get everything done right. And that was really like I was really nervous during the whole thing.
Yeah.
But now since then I've got a bit better, and I recently did some work for Coca-Cola and Gerard Mendes.
Wow. Okay.
So that was like a collaboration kind of project where it covers like different restaurants in Colombo.
Yeah.
So that was
cool. As you mentioned, you're a law student and you don't sort of like this having a structured life. Would you say that you don't like being a law student, or is it more of a have you learned to like it, or?
No, I think I'm not very good with studies in general. Like if I was supposed to be like in medicine or something, I couldn't do it. Law is kind of the only thing that I can see myself doing.
Okay.
So in that sense, it was nice because it actually felt like I was interested in what I was learning.
Yeah.
And I'm doing law mostly for my future, because I feel like my main like life's work is going to be centered around something to do with law.
Yeah.
And not photography.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got big on TikTok recently.
No.
Do you want to talk about that?
I'd like not to know, but sure. It's always funny because I'm recording myself.
Yeah.
I edit myself. I send it. I'm like, no one's gonna watch this. And then like people watch it. I'm like, people have watched me. And like that. Now like I meet people and they're like, oh, I saw you on TikTok. I was like, no, you didn't. That wasn't me.
Yeah. So Sanji Pandey is where I first saw you. So
yes.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I started like my TikTok account to post like stuff about like boring stuff like personal finance and not boring, it's more serious stuff. Like personal finance and photography and all that.
Yeah.
And no, after that I kind of tried to make it so that it was a more mix, because I found that if you constantly just talk about serious things, like it's not always for everyone. So I wanted to like diversify my content a bit. And then one thing I really love is I love puns. Like you give me a word, I can like if you want, I can make a pun with it. So
Pravin, you love animals and you do a lot of volunteer work. Would you like to talk about that?
Sure. Okay. So I mainly do volunteer work around dogs, because I have 5 dogs at home and I love dogs and I've had dogs my whole life.
Yeah.
And I used to volunteer a lot with this with an organization called Animal Welfare Protection Association, so AWPA.
Yeah.
And now I'm mostly with an organization called Tales of Freedom. And so Tales of Freedom they do a lot of work with PEO bred dogs that have been either abandoned or neglected or abused or anything like that. So a lot of rehabilitation, recovery and rehoming is what we do a lot of work on. I'm a small part in like a huge like thing that they do, and Shilpa.
But that's nice.
Yeah, it's something that I have to make time to do, but then once I make time to do it, I don't do it as much as I want to, not nearly as much, but once I do make time, even if it's just something small like organizing a fundraiser or something, it makes me feel really good, because I know it's going to some, like it'll save like an animal or something like that.
So moving on from that, the previous guest we had, Mayan, you work with him in CPT. Would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So in school, one of my biggest passions was drama, just like Mayan.
Yeah.
And I actually met Mayan through drama. And fun story about Mayan and me and drama is that when I first went for Shakes, the first practice I went for, I was like, okay, maybe I shouldn't do this. Like I was really reluctant. And then I told Mayan this, like, because we live close by, we shared a tuk. And I was like, I don't think I want to do it. And he actually said like, maybe you should give it like a few more weeks at least. And then by that time I was hooked. So if it weren't for him, I wouldn't have even like probably continued.
Yeah.
And so because I had such a big like love for like Shakes and drama in general, and just acting and just being on stage and with the rest of the cast, when Mayan approached me with, it was not really an offer because we're such good friends. He was like, he wants to form this theatre company, and he wanted to know if I wanted to be a pretty big part of it. And I was looking for something like that because this was during COVID and everything, and drama was missing from all of our lives. I just jumped at the opportunity after like a bit of thought, and we've put on 2 productions since then, and Mayan's been an amazing director. We've worked with amazing people. You were in the front of house, and we worked together as well.
Yeah.
Which was really fun. And
Yeah,
I don't know, those 3 days were like really fun for me.
Really fun. It was definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Amazing.
great. It was like, it's a great thing, and we have so much more we want to do. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Looking forward to seeing
Yes.
what's to come. Cool. So, would you like to give any advice to anyone who doesn't really know what they want to do with their life?
With their life?
Yeah. And wants to, branch out like you did.
Yeah, I would say that when you're smaller and you're younger, you have a lot of imagination about the things you want to do. And I would say when you get older and when there's societal pressure and parental pressure and all of that, it kind of weighs you down and it stops you from being creative about what you want to do. So if your parents tell you, look, you have to be a lawyer, and there's no way out of it. I don't agree with parents saying that you should be a lawyer in the first place. But if there's no way out of it and you have to do it, that doesn't mean that you have to only be a lawyer at that point. Because when you're a child and you have the freedom to think, you can do a lot.
Yeah.
And people kind of lose that perspective and hope, I feel. And this is like, if you have like mental health problems, or if you have financial needs and you need to get that sorted first. You need to like focus on that. You need to make time for that. But if you do have free time, as good as it is to, like just relax and, watch a show on Netflix or something, it is also kind of, this time is important to figure out what you actually like, apart from, like that stereotypical like job that you are going to have.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's just a matter of believing in yourself and the possibility that if you actually do commit some time into something, that you actually can get that done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my favorite motto is decide, believe, execute, succeed. So executing and succeeding are like, you have to do it to make anything work, but a lot of people fail on believing that they can actually do something once they think of something. Like they'll be like, oh, what if I start a business? And then they say, no, I can't do that. Anyone can do that. Like you just have to figure out what works in your system. Maybe if you look at a business and that has worked in one way and it doesn't work for you, that doesn't mean you can't be a business owner. It just means that you have to find your way of doing that.
Thank you so much, Pravin, for being here today.
No problem.
Thank you everyone for tuning in to today's episode of Tell Tehani. Tune in for more episodes coming soon.